We're back to start talking about Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 4. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the After Show. My name's JS. That over here is my buddy Jeff. That's right. Actually, before we do begin, guys, if you're watching any of our content, please make sure you click that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. It really, really helps us out. I mean, we're getting a lot of views recently on the channel, but we have very few subscribers. So, guys, please take a second, click the subscribe button, and click the like button. It really lets us know that you like watching these shows.
We're going to say this at the top of every one of these episodes. Spoilers abound. If you have not watched Season 3, Episode 4, no-win scenario of Star Trek Picard, go watch it right now. And then come back and finish watching this.
What did you think of Episode 4
Man.
of this final season of Picard? I'm going to tell you something. This season is making me hate the fact that this is the final season, because this is what Picard should have been right from the fucking beginning.
Season 1 and 2 of Trek, of this Picard Trek, we talked about this in the inaugural episode of this after show. They tried to do something different. And it's like somebody, and I'm guessing it's new solo showrunner, Terry Matalas, was finally like, hey, what made this show so popular? What made this cast popular? What show essentially relaunched this new era of Star Trek? Oh, right. It was Star Trek The Next Generation. Hey, what were they doing on that show? Oh, yeah, they were on a starship, a Federation starship, trekking through the stars, which they've not really done in the first two seasons. Yes, there was a ship, the La Sirena, in the first season, but it was not a Federation ship. And I mean, Rios was cool, and I liked the ship and everything else, but it still didn't feel like Star Trek. Mm-hmm. This could not feel any more like Star Trek. And this episode in particular, you've got to put this episode right up there with just the best of what Trek has had to offer, because this thing had everything.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions, action, drama, conflict, death, fixing shit, breaking shit. And look, can we even get into the confrontation in 10 Forward between Picard and Shaw? I mean, wow.
So that confrontation was fantastic.
Holy shit.
When Picard then goes to Shaw's quarters to say, hey, look, you know, I know you're just an asshole from Chicago, but we need a grease monkey, bud.
We need that dipshit.
Yeah, we need that dipshit from Chicago right now. Like, can you help us out?
Yeah.
The reaction that he had made me for a second think that maybe the Shaw in 10 Forward was the changeling. Because it didn't seem for a second that he knew what Picard was talking about. But
he's also,
I mean, that
pain meds.
And well, exactly.
I know, like, this ship's power. Like, I wish there had been a throwaway line as to why he has a cast and a limp and a cane. Because what? I know he broke his leg, but broken bones are like nothing.
Well, that's the thing.
How
right?
often have you seen a character get hurt and then have a cast and a limp and a cane,
and not just get fixed by Crusher? Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they're trying to use that so we can empathize with it a little bit, so we sympathize with him a little bit, make him seem a little bit weaker or what have you. But yeah, that one I was kind of like, meh. But I mean, so okay, sorry guys. Once again, why was Shaw so hostile towards Riker and Picard when they got on the ship? It seemed
now
like
we know.
Gallivanting around, taking charge of it. It wasn't that. There was something much, much deeper and much, much more emotional. And I saw, by the way, a pile of theories online, and I didn't see one of them that mentioned that Shaw was at the Battle of Wolf 359. Probably, maybe the most famously referenced battle in Trek, even though we've only ever seen bare glimpses of it. It's probably right up there with the first contact battle with the Cube. It is referenced constantly, and now we know. Picard.
The most I think we've seen of the Battle of Wolf 359 is the first episode of Deep Space Nine, when you see Cisco.
You see Cisco, that's right.
Leaving in an escape pod, and his ship getting blown up, and his wife dying on that ship, and you know, like, you see a little bit of that there, because even in what was the actual TNG episode?
The Best of Both Worlds.
The Best of Both Worlds, Part 1 and 2. You don't really actually see the Battle of Wolf 359.
No, because they're not there.
They're not there. Exactly.
You see the aftermath.
Yeah.
but you don't see the battle.
So yeah, it's interesting. I like when we get those kind of callbacks, and I love that they're throwing a lot of these Easter eggs, as I like to call them, into Picard, because
That was a
it
bombshell.
really hits home
Holy
for
shit.
the fans, right? Somebody like me who, as a teenager, I would watch Next Generation. That little callback hits home like crazy, right?
Unreal.
I found this episode to be much more emotional for me than any other episode so far in the season, and more emotional than a lot of Star Trek period for me.
Based on like what was hitting you hardest emotionally then?
I mean, everything from the speech at the beginning that he gives to the kids without knowing that his son is there, to when Riker comes in and he's like, and Picard is trying to tell Riker, look, I'm sorry, I stepped over the line. And Riker's like, shut the fuck up. Right? Like, this is it, man. Like, we're about to die. To the message that Riker is trying to record for Deanna. To, like, there was so many moments where, like, I'm holding back the tears. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Picard season 2, the last episode, or I can't remember if it was the last episode, but the episode where Q actually dies, where he disappears.
Right.
Full blown bawled my eyes out
Yep.
in that episode. But beyond that, I don't remember another episode of Trek that made me feel more than this week's episode of Picard. It was fucking bonkers. Can we talk about the elephant in the room for a second?
Of course.
Can we talk about Vadic?
Absolutely. Please
So Vadic,
help me out with this, because I don't think I fully understand what's happening with that.
Well, Vadic is a changeling.
So what is the cutting the hand off into the tray? What is that? What is that?
I don't know. And I don't know who that was, because whoever that was that she's talking to references your people are expendable, as in the changeling, I'm assuming is what that person's saying. So I don't know who that is and how they're communicating through the Great Link, maybe. But if they're not
they've broken off
connected, how are they? Yeah,
unless they've established some kind of a new link here.
Yeah,
in the Alpha Quadrant.
I don't know. I'm hoping they're going to explain that a little bit more, because that was a little bit of a what the fuck moment for me.
There's clearly a reason why all of the people on her ship are masked and have their voices altered.
Mm-hmm.
There's clearly something's going to happen where they're going to be taking those masks off, and we're going to see who these individuals actually are. And I'm curious and I'm excited to see who they are for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wasn't real clear on what was happening. Like why is she cutting her hand off? Oh, she's a changeling, or she just has a piece of a changeling attached to her, but now she's communicating with. So yeah, and obviously you called it too. Like, or her strings are being pulled by somebody. Like, she's not the bad.
Mm-hmm.
She's just working for the bad. I don't know. It was fascinating. It definitely makes me want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
Riker throwing an asteroid at her after she threw
that was wicked. Yeah. Did you just throw an asteroid at her?
Perfect.
I sure did.
Absolutely. What he says is, "You're goddamn right I did." I was like,
goddamn right I did. Yeah. No, that was awesome. Overall,
they're definitely pulling no punches as far as the dialogue goes, as far as, and rest his soul, Gene Roddenberry. I know he would be upset with as much internal conflict as there is, because that's one thing he always wanted to avoid amongst the shipmates and the crew. But because so much of this ends up being really, especially with Picard talking, like you said, to the kids and everything else, all he's talking about is how when you work together, when you trust the people around you to have your back and you have theirs, there's always hope. You'll always be able to accomplish your goals, kind of thing. But
meanwhile, on the ship, they're all apart. Like, there's no cohesion at all, right?
But there still is, because his point is you can't do everything by yourself. You can't run this channel by yourself. You need all of us to do our part to make all of this work. And that's what eventually he convinced Will Riker to do. He basically told Riker, like, you don't just let your people do what your people do. I know it's not your ship. And Will even says that in his address. Like, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I know you. If you're on this ship, it's because you're the highest caliber. And I know that we can, you know what I mean? As far as a rallying cry goes. It's fucking brilliant, man. Like everything about this episode, like find me the flaw in this episode. What was what? So we always have like a takeaway, like, well, I didn't love that. What didn't you love in this episode? Can you pick something out that was like, that wasn't so great? Because I'm struggling. I'm not gonna lie. This
I
was
mean,
really
I
good.
feel like the whole, you know how they figure out that the nebula is actually a living being. It's
it's about to give birth.
some sort of a space creature.
Yep.
And then it gives birth to all these little space jellyfish.
Yep.
Like that's very like okay, like, you know, we put that in there to give them a way to get out of there. Like, you know what I mean?
I do. I did like Beverly's quiet line to seek out new life right after it's born.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There was a very small part of me that was hoping that it would turn into the crystalline entity or a crystalline entity. That's what it was becoming. I wanted it so bad.
I know that would have taken it right, because they talk about it. They mention Farpoint it by name.
Yep.
Right. So I was like, oh my God, is it one of them? But it wasn't. It doesn't turn out to be one of them.
If it was a crystalline entity. But I mean, as far as the a weak point in the episode goes, it's not too bad.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't bad. And it worked its way through 4 episodes, right? Like in episode 1, all we knew is that there was this weird energy wave coming from the nebula.
Yeah.
We didn't know what it was.
But they kept saying it was bio as well as
so
energy.
They really worked it in slowly to the point where it
was believable. It was weird.
It's a little bit MacGuffin, but
that's the best of Treks have always been MacGuffins, right?
Sure,
that's what this show rests its laurels on, and it has been right from the original series, right? Mm-hmm. Just a series of MacGuffins.
But again,
going through,
I want to make sure, like for me, this is by far the best episode of the season.
Oh, in a season that's been stellar so far, I agree.
This is really one of my favorite episodes in all of Trek at this point.
The only thing that I was kind of like, oh, wow, that was quite the coincidence, is when, by the way, can we just talk about how great it is that Seven doesn't give a fuck that the ship is about to die and it's falling into space? She's just like, I'm going to find this changeling and I'm going to put him in a hurt locker. Like, she's like, on mission,
man.
Right? So she finds the container and she's trying to go to the bio lab to get them to take the sample so she can scan the ship after Shaw tells her that. And she just happens to bump into this guy who just happens to like see and hear her talking about what she's about to do. And it just happens to be the changeling on this giant fucking ship. I was like, okay, maybe he was kind of tailing her in some way, shape, or form. Maybe he was trying to keep tabs on her, knowing she was the one that was on his case. But I did find that to be an incredibly huge coincidence that, I'm about to find out where the changeling is on the ship. Oh, he just walked right by me. He's right there.
Yeah. Oh, he's right there. Yeah,
he's right there. He's firing at me. So yeah, I mean that.
And then he destroys the pot,
the container.
Do you mean cannabis? No, unfortunately,
not that kind of pot. Kids.
I thought that was hilarious.
And then he goes into the ship.
Yeah, he goes into one of the Jeffries tubes or whatever.
I was like, damn.
I was like, yeah. Like he's
and
just
they've
gone.
Really stepped up that graphic, obviously, because the technology has advanced 30 years since DS9. But when they turn into that, I love how
the goo, it looks amazing.
I love how fleshy it looks. I like how layered and textured it looks now, and not just some gelatinous monoform gloop. It's more like it looks like flesh that's now just thinned out into like a liquid form.
It doesn't just look like gold Jello anymore, right? No. Like CG Jello. It actually looks. Like
it looks like what would happen if a person turned into a liquid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
cool.
It's
gross, but it's super cool. I think JS and I can agree. Not only is this the best episode of Star Trek Picard so far, this season or any season, I think it's amongst the best episodes of Star Trek. Period.
Oh yeah.
It is a really, really good episode. I guess I do have one more thing. So we did not see any of Worf and Raffi this episode.
No.
This was all on almost called it the Stargazer, the Titan.
Yeah, which I will bet we see them get together next episode.
Where's Geordi? That's at this point, we're 4 episodes in. I need me some Geordi. Like, it's cool that we've got the young LaForge on there. That's cool that it's his actual daughter in real life, and it's cool that she keeps referencing her dad. Got to get her dad on there.
Well, so we're gonna get Geordi on the Titan because they filmed scenes together.
Right. Yes.
LeVar Burton did an interview with, I forget who now, talking about how it was so amazing to have a scene with his daughter and how they do LaForge things, engineering things together,
Right.
trying to fix the problem. So it looks like they're going to stay on the Titan for the duration of the show. And it
Good.
looks like Geordi's going to join them on the Titan, and more stuff is going to happen on the Titan, right? So,
Right,
and I
right.
love the ship. It's a gorgeous ship. I
Oh,
think
no, it's beautiful.
It's a little dark.
Yep.
On the bridge.
Yep.
I mean, I sent you the meme yesterday, Star Trek
Yep,
Into
yep.
Darkness, where it feels like in the original TNG, it was super bright. And then when they started the TNG movies, it was a little bit darker. And now you can barely friggin' see anything, you know, but otherwise.
I think they're trying to match the tone, right? I mean, this is a much darker. There's swearing, there's violence, there's this overarching plot, there's conflict amongst the cast and the crew. I think they're really trying to hone in on that. I don't think this would work as well if it was as brightly lit and as sunny and tan as the TNG set and lighting was. It needs to be a little darker, a little grittier to really drive that home that this isn't your dad's Star Trek. This is meatier, this is grittier, this is more a little more in your face with it. So I think it works. I think the tone of it works.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see where they go with this, because now it felt like where the first 3 episodes ended on a cliffhanger, this one had an ending.
Yes.
Now they're out.
They're out of the nebula.
They're at warp and they're heading back to Federation space. And, you know, obviously it's not over, but they're no longer in immediate, imminent death, right?
Yes.
I just hope we don't go through that lull. You know how the first few episodes of Picard or the other seasons were good, and the last few episodes were good, and then the middle was meh. I hope now we're not going to the meh part.
No,
right?
that's fair. I think there has to be some sort of a catharsis. Like this next episode, the 5th episode, has to at least slow down a little bit. There has to be some catharsis, even though this episode still did a really good job at building out character, even giving you more insight into Picard and Riker, but then helping to build out Jack Crusher quite a bit, helping to build out Shaw a ton. We did so much character building with Shaw, but even building out Seven a little bit. But this next episode, that 5th episode,
I love Seven in this.
Seven's brilliant.
Seven, I'm going to say this right now. You know, when Seven came into DS9 to Voyager, caveat: Voyager was not, by far, not one of my favorite Treks to begin with. I've always held Voyager low on my totem pole of Trek, and when they brought Seven in, it was like, really? Like, they really need to bring some chick in a cat suit? Like, why? Like, what's the point? Like, this just felt dumb. Like, it was just, okay, well, let's get rid of Kes because she's not hot enough, and let's bring in Seven. But holy fuck, is she a badass now? Like, she really, really developed in the last 3 seasons of Picard, and she's amazing. I friggin' love her as an actress, first of all.
Agreed. And she plays this role to a T. Like, this is the role for her. Like, she's very, very good at this.
100%. And I love the little quip about, you know, how she identifies the changeling, because LaForge calls her Commander Hansen instead of Commander 7.
That's right.
And she always calls me Commander 7. Out of respect.
And he looks like he just ate his shit sandwich.
Like, yeah, okay, fine.
Right, fine. Whenever I get my ship back, we can go back to calling you Commander 7. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And
assuming I ever get my ship back. I don't know what's going to happen with any of this. They've done a really good job. I have no fucking idea what's going on. 4 episodes in, I don't know who the big bad is. I don't know how Moriarty and Laura are going to figure in. I don't know where Geordi is. I don't know who Vadic is. I don't know who Vadic's working with or for. We know there's changelings, but we don't know how deeply they're involved. Have they penetrated Starfleet? Is someone else like they can
have
become
to
anybody?
at this point,
like I
right?
go,
Exactly.
Like, what? I have no idea what's going to happen, and I love it. I love it, and I want more of it. And a week is too long to wait for it, but here we are.
A week is too long to wait, and like I said at the top of the show, I hate that this is the last season, because now I'm hooked. Now Picard and Strange New Worlds have renewed my love of Trek. I don't remember if it's in the last episode or if it was yesterday when we were chatting that I told you this, but I feel like I'm more of a Trekkie today than I have ever been.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
We were
know,
talking about it yesterday.
it's
I
I fucking love
know.
it.
I don't know that I could ever hit the heights as I hit during that first run of TNG, but I mean, still, it's. I mean, man, what a time! What a time! Our buddy
Oh
Tim,
yeah,
Black Captain Kirk. This is not the golden age of Trek. This is the platinum age of Trek.
it is.
We've transcended the golden age. We're
It
in.
is.
Fuck.
Guys, let us know what you're thinking about Picard season 3 so far. We're loving it. You know, this episode for me again was the best. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment below. Make sure you click that like and subscribe. I say it every time, but it really helps us out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay geeky. We'll see you next week.